Terry and I had been together for nearly 3 years. We first met at a concert through mutual friends and instantly connected. That October, we celebrated my birthday at my favorite restaurant, where Terry surprised me with a bracelet I had casually admired months before. His attention to detail deeply moved me. That evening, he also spoke about wanting to take our relationship further soon. In November, I spent Thanksgiving with his family. His mother privately told me how grateful she was that Terry had found someone who balanced him so well. His brother Joel mentioned with a knowing look that Terry had been asking about family heirlooms. I didn't want to read too much into it, but the hope was hard to ignore. December was hectic with work and holiday events. Terry seemed stressed, yet at times unusually cheerful and secretive. When I asked what was on his mind, he would only smile and say, "Just thinking about the future." I assumed he was planning a holiday surprise. At his office Christmas party, he introduced me proudly to his colleagues, keeping close the entire evening. One of his friends even mentioned how often Terry spoke about me at work. Everything suggested he was preparing for an important step. In January, we had a small argument when he suddenly revealed plans for a weekend trip with his college friends. Our own plans had to be canceled, which upset me, but I understood the importance of his friendships. He apologized sincerely and promised to make it up to me. True to his word, he suggested Valentine's Day dinner at Bellini's, an upscale restaurant that required reservations well in advance. Somehow, he had secured one. He also asked me to wear the red dress he loved, saying he wanted the night to be memorable. His effort touched me. 2 days before Valentine's, he texted me about a surprise he'd been planning. My friends speculated it might be a proposal, and though I tried not to expect too much, all signs pointed in that direction: his secrecy, his family's hints, and the fancy reservation. On Valentine's Day, Terry suggested we meet at the restaurant since he might work late but didn't want to risk losing our reservation. I agreed, both nervous and excited. I arrived early and was seated at a central table, surrounded by other couples. Terry arrived right on time, immediately ordering champagne. He seemed both nervous and excited. Our dinner conversation flowed easily, filled with memories and future dreams. It felt perfect. But after the main course, he became restless, discreetly checking his pocket. Nearby, another couple got engaged, drawing applause. Terry watched closely, then stood suddenly when dessert arrived. "Everyone," he said loudly, "I have something important to share." He got down on one knee beside me. The restaurant fell silent, phones recording what everyone assumed was a proposal. Then Terry looked into my eyes and said clearly, "I'm done pretending you're worth loving." "You're disgusting." The entire place froze. He stood, added, "I've wasted 3 years trying to fix you. I'm done," grabbed his coat, and walked out. A waiter soon placed the $347 bill on the table. I left in shock. When I returned home, I discovered Terry had already moved his belongings out. My calls went unanswered, and he had blocked me on social media. 2 days later, Joel revealed that Terry had been seeing someone named Rita for months. The Valentine's surprise was nothing more than his calculated exit. Joel seemed genuinely horrified by his brother's cruelty. Within a week, videos of my humiliation were circulating online. Someone had been asked to record it, and Terry ensured it spread widely. In his social circles, he rewrote our history, portraying me as manipulative and controlling, insisting his actions were justified. He assumed I would hide away in shame, but he was wrong. I had a plan to make him regret every choice he made. The response to my story was overwhelming. Thousands of comments poured in. My inbox overflowed, and my story spread across multiple platforms. Writing about it became a way to process the pain. The weeks that followed were difficult, but clarity soon replaced shock, and with clarity came anger. That night after the restaurant incident, I walked home wearing the same red dress I had bought just for him. My phone kept buzzing with messages from friends who had already seen the videos. I turned it off. At the apartment, Terry was gone. Everything planned perfectly so he could move out without confrontation. I sat on the kitchen floor until 3 a.m., numb. When I finally checked my phone, hundreds of messages were waiting, including one from my boss offering time off. My sister Darlene came with wine and ice cream. But even then, something wasn't adding up. Terry had little savings. How did he manage such a quick move? 3 days later, my father called, sounding uneasy. He asked if Terry and I were having money issues. Terry had just withdrawn $5,000 from the business account of the small coffee shop my parents had helped him open. That's when the truth began to unravel. My parents had invested heavily in Terry's cafe. Lease, equipment, inventory, even a business consultant. They considered him family. My father assumed the withdrawal was for an engagement ring or trip. When I explained everything, my parents came over immediately. My father was furious, my mother devastated. She revealed they had been helping Terry even more than I realized, covering student loans, his car down payment, even flights for his parents to visit last Christmas, all because they trusted him as their future son-in-law. Going through the financial records, my father uncovered large, unexplained withdrawals, a second credit card, and payments to unknown accounts. It became clear Terry had been misusing their trust and money. Joel later confirmed that Terry had been with Rita nearly a year, not just months. He had taken her on expensive trips, bought gifts, and even put a down payment on a condo in an upscale neighborhood, money that came directly from my parents' support. The betrayal cut deeper than I imagined. Not only had Terry humiliated me, but he had also scammed my family. By my father's calculations, Terry had taken at least $75,000. His lawyer confirmed that legal action would take time, but was inevitable. Still, I decided Terry deserved consequences beyond the courtroom. Joel admitted that Terry hadn't told Rita about the real source of his money. She believed he was financially savvy, not dependent on my parents. Meanwhile, my father's lawyer began the process of freezing accounts and auditing the business. Soon after, Terry texted me asking to pick up paperwork from the apartment. I delayed my response, finally agreeing on a time. My parents came over, and I set up a discreet camera, completely legal in my home. When Terry arrived, he was surprised to see my parents waiting. My father blocked his exit, forcing him inside. The atmosphere was tense. I confronted him directly, and when he tried to dismiss my feelings, my parents stepped in. My father revealed we knew about the financial fraud. Terry panicked, fumbling excuses about business expenses and promises to repay. My father calmly demanded receipts. We also revealed we knew about Rita and the condo. Terry shifted tactics, pretending to be remorseful, even crying. But I reminded him of his public posts celebrating his new life with Rita. He realized he was trapped. My father then laid out the conditions: repay every dollar with interest, sign a written confession, hand over the coffee shop keys, and issue a public apology. If not, we would press charges for fraud and embezzlement. Terry tried to bluff, saying we wouldn't risk public embarrassment, but I reminded him he had already humiliated me in public, leaving me with nothing to lose. He left shaken, promising to think. My father's lawyer gave him 1 week before charges would be filed. Meanwhile, I had my own strategy. Joel, still apologetic, introduced me to their mother. She was appalled at her son's actions and even shared family photos with me, giving me unexpected leverage for what was to come. I found several photos of Terry and Rita together, taken months ago at family events I had supposedly missed because of work. Through social media, I also discovered more. Rita's best friend, Sandy, works at the real estate office that sold Terry the condo. She had commented on Rita's post, congratulating her on finally getting her dream home. I reached out to Sandy, explained my side of the story, and she was stunned. She had no idea about me or the real source of that down payment. She was concerned for her friend and disgusted by Terry's deception. Terry believes he's succeeded, humiliating me, exploiting my family, and now living with Rita in a condo partially funded by my parents. He's running a business built with their money, wearing clothes they bought and driving a car they helped finance. But his so-called new life is unstable, and the truth is catching up to him. It's been 3 weeks since Valentine's Day. Today, Terry posted on Instagram, celebrating with Rita at an upscale restaurant. Meanwhile, my dad's lawyer confirmed Terry has ignored all attempts to respond. His deadline is tomorrow. What he doesn't know is that Joel has arranged a family dinner this weekend. Both of their parents, Joel, Terry, and Rita, will be there, and so will a folder of financial records showing exactly how Terry funded his relationship. I may be attending as well. I'll share an update after. Thank you for all the support. It helps more than I can say. Many of you have asked if I'm okay. I'm getting through it. Some days are harder than others, but knowing Terry is about to face real consequences keeps me steady. The dinner happened, and it was intense. Joel picked me up Saturday evening. He was nervous, checking his phone constantly. Terry had been messaging him all day, suspicious about the dinner. Joel showed me the texts, Terry questioning whether Joel had revealed anything to their parents. The plan was for me to wait nearby until Joel told me to enter. My parents were also on standby with the financial evidence, prepared to step in if needed. Joel and I arrived at his parents' home before Terry and Rita. His mom hugged me tightly, apologizing repeatedly, saying she had raised him better. His father, on the other hand, seemed exhausted and defeated. They had already reviewed the records earlier that week and were devastated to learn their son wasn't only unfaithful, but also dishonest financially. His mother had prepared an elaborate dinner, mostly Terry's favorites. When I asked why, she said softly that it might be the last meal she cooked for him in a long time. That moment made me realize how hard this was on them as well. I waited upstairs in Joel's old room. From there, I could hear when Terry and Rita arrived. Terry sounded annoyed, while Rita was polite with his parents. The first 20 minutes were casual conversation over drinks. Joel had hidden his phone on the table so I could listen in. Terry boasted about how well the coffee shop was doing and even suggested they might open another location. Then his father cleared his throat and said they needed to address something important before dinner. Terry immediately grew defensive, demanding to know why everyone was acting strangely. Joel signaled me. My heart was pounding as I walked downstairs. When I entered, Terry's expression shifted from shock to panic to anger. Rita looked confused and asked who I was, though it seemed she already suspected. Terry stood abruptly, knocking over his glass, demanding to know why I was there. Joel told him firmly to sit down. Terry refused, accusing his parents of betrayal. His mother cried, while his father slammed his hand on the table, commanding him to listen. In the silence, I placed folders in front of each person, including Rita. Calmly, I explained they contained detailed records of every dollar Terry had taken from my parents: investments, loans, car payments, student loans, and even the condo's down payment. Rita read through her copy in visible shock. She pulled it away when Terry tried to snatch it back. He then attempted to dismiss everything, calling me unstable and insisting my parents had given him the money freely. That's when Joel played the recording we had made earlier, where Terry admitted to the fraud. His face went pale. Rita asked him directly if it was true that he had used my parents' money to buy her gifts, trips, and their condo. Terry tried to justify it as normal business practice, but Rita was clearly devastated. She removed the bracelet he had given her, identical to one he had once given me, and placed it on the table. When Terry attempted to defend himself further, his mother asked him what exactly he had ever done for my family. He couldn't answer. Then Rita revealed another lie. Terry had told her I was an obsessive ex, that my parents were controlling him, and that he had staged the breakup because I had threatened self-harm. I pointed out the obvious contradiction, asking if that explanation made sense given the public Valentine's Day video. Rita admitted she had doubts, but had been convinced otherwise by Terry's manipulation. Realizing the truth, she left the room, saying she needed air. Terry grew desperate, asking us to move forward, and even suggesting my parents invest in his and Rita's ventures. I presented our terms instead: full repayment with interest, a signed confession, the return of the coffee shop, and a public apology for the Valentine's Day incident. Terry laughed and refused, saying my parents were foolish to give him money and that it was their problem. He ended with an insult directed at me, but it no longer carried weight. I told him it didn't matter. Our lawyer had already filed charges. His accounts were frozen, and his ability to borrow in the future was gone. Terry erupted, shouting insults. That's when Rita re-entered, saying she had heard everything. She told him she was finished, that she wanted him out of the condo, and that her lawyer would remove his name from the deed. When he tried to argue, she walked away. The room was silent. Joel poured drinks for everyone, and Rita and I later compared what we had learned. She realized she had been manipulated as much as I had. While we weren't friends, we had mutual respect by the end of the night. She promised to cooperate in any legal process against him.